I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
Welcome to the Welcome to the 3-on-3 podcast, the best and number one basketball podcast in the universe. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As always, it's your boy Hans, joined with my amigos, compadre Evan and Lou. As always, we got the Pod Mamba in the back, making sure we continue to be the best basketball podcast in the universe. Let's jump right into it, guys. So, trade rumors, man, on the block. Who is on the block? This is going to be an ever-evolving and rotating topic / segment on our show. As you know, the trade deadline is approaching. So the rumor mill just continues to power up and power up. And literally as the days go by, we're seeing more and more players be put on this trade block. Most notably right now, let's talk about the guard out of the Sacramento Kings, De'Aaron Fox. It was reported earlier that he definitely may be a trade piece. But then, they went through their coaching troubles with Mike Brown, fired him. Doug Christie's at the helm now, started to turn things around. They started winning. They're back into somewhat playoff contention. They're making moves in the right direction. And now we're hit with, hey, De'Aaron Fox is on his way out and looking for suitors. Evan, I will start with you, sir. Does this even make sense right now, given how this team looks to have turned it around?
It makes sense. Listen, I mean, when we talked about this a month ago when they fired Mike Brown, I called it at that time that De'Aaron Fox would surpass Jimmy Butler as the primary chip on the trade block before we got to the deadline. And it's because the writing was on the wall. He hadn't committed to the team with an extension since last summer when they were trying to get him to extend. He has one more year on his deal. He's only made it to the first round of the playoffs one time with this team. And his game has trended upward every year that he's been with the team. I mean, he got off to an incredible start this season. Stats are actually down a little bit to like 25 points per game. But he is a player that's going to be in demand by at least 3/4 of the league. Now, not everybody can afford to trade for him. Not everybody has the right situation. But you get a dynamic guard like De'Aaron Fox on your team, especially a team that's trying to take a step to the next level, you've got a piece that you can build around foundationally. I think it's interesting that it's come out that one of his preferred destinations is the San Antonio Spurs. We look at the flip that team has made in competitiveness this year just by bringing in Chris Paul and getting some veteran point guard leadership around their group of players and Wemby, of course. Imagine bringing in a dynamic guard like De'Aaron Fox to be the point guard on that team for the next 5 to 7 years to go through Wemby's prime. Now you're talking about a team that's moving in the right direction. So when a name like D Fox pops out, teams are going to be interested. And it's the Kings we're talking about. So no, ultimately it doesn't surprise me at all.
I guess, but for me it did. I felt like, hey, you kind of tapped into the problem. The coach, he was losing the locker room or lost the locker room. You guys started to trend in the right direction. DeRozan was looking like a better fit. De'Aaron Fox was still balling. Sabonis was there, but then this happens. But I guess, like you said, you called it early on. You are a pseudo prophet on this one. You saw the writing on the wall, and I guess when somebody's unhappy, they're unhappy. Now, Lou, where do you see De'Aaron Fox fitting in, man? Where's the best place for this guy, bro?
who really knows, right? Because we seen how trades can get real crazy real quick. I'm surprised that Evan is surprised that he would want to go to San Antonio. Who wouldn't want to go play with the alien, right? Especially knowing what he can bring to that team, and you're gonna have a generational talent that you're gonna be able to play with for potentially decades to come. Chris Paul has a shelf life. Get what you can get from him, learn, and move on, right? And find ways to bring other pieces. You already have two of what you would need in terms of the recipe for. You need the 3 stars to be able to have a contending team. But how about this? Fox for Murray. Who says no?
Which Murray?
Jamal.
Jamal. Huh. Listen, you might be onto something there. Ev, you're the numbers guy. What are the numbers saying on that? Like, Fox for Murray.
You got me peaked there. If
That's
you
not-
ask
I know
me,
you guys are usually put you and the pop mama like to put the little trade joints together, but everybody's been talking about Murray's been a little bit stale with Denver. He hasn't really shown up in the moments they need to. Do they need to switch it up a little bit because he hasn't necessarily stepped up? Fox is yearning for that. He goes for. We see how Fox can play with Sabonis.
Yo,
Is it a natural fit? Is it much of an adjustment?
I'm not
Do
saying
both teams
no.
get to have breath of fresh air? I'm just saying. Fox and Murray, who says no?
See what
you got
did
me
with the
jumping in
Mount High
live.
air.
You got me jumping in live to see what we could do.
Yeah, well, look that up. We'll talk. Keep looking it up. That's not a bad look though, because if you talk about somebody who's been inconsistent, who has had injury issues, Murray, and those who follow the Nuggets closely have always pointed out, and Ev as well too, to his credit, when Jamal Murray's not at his peak, Denver is not a juggernaut like they used to be. So when they won the championship, is because Jamal Murray was having a historic season for him, career highs, and he stayed healthy. Now, what we're seeing now, some argue that's the real Jamal Murray. So when you bring out Fox, somebody who has been healthy, who can perform on a regular basis, I'm not gonna lie, I wouldn't say no if I was Denver.
So only thing about that one can't be done until the off season because of when Murray signed his extension. So that one, it wouldn't be able to get done by the trade deadline. It'd have to be done in the off season. Now, with that said, with Sacramento coming out with this news now a week before the trade deadline hits, it puts themselves in kind of a pickle, right? Because, I mean, yes, teams are going to come forth with the effort, but now you're looking at, okay, do we make a rush trade within a week or try to look at making a stronger trade in the off season? If they were to make a trade like that, it would you'd bring back Murray, who has 4 years left in his deal. It would give you some stability, so you're not having to look at, making that. From Denver's standpoint, is it enough of an upgrade to offset the loss of continuity that Murray and Jokic just built up? That's an interesting one. I'm not gonna lie. You've got me pondering with that.
I take that gamble
saying.
on the continuity
Yes,
if I'm me, just because he's in and out, so he's affecting that continuity anyway. And Jokic really controls that offense. I don't know. The people of Laker Nation say no on the Fox to Murray trade per sources, of course. Those sources are very consistent in how they lean.
Lord knows I've been a Fox fan since he came into the league. I'm still mad he cut the Vegeta haircut. So listen, Fox is the truth in my opinion. So wherever he ends up at, I do look forward to seeing him in a different situation other than Sacramento, because I do feel he's given his all during his time there. He's been a professional. He's grown. He's gotten better every year, and he's just at a point where, listen, he's given them the years. He's frustrated at the lack of success that they've had, and so if he doesn't want to commit to the team, I definitely hope he gets to a team that fits for him.
Yeah, their stats aren't too far apart. Murray's giving you 19, 4, 6 right now. De'Aaron's giving you 25, 5, 6. Just De'Aaron Fox is just known to be more explosive. That's Lou. I give you on that. That's a big one right there.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
a
big
good
one
one.
right
Hey
there.
man,
That's a good one.
I give you a little something on the fly.
That's definitely a good one. That's a good one. I didn't have that on my bingo card, Lou. Did not
Hey,
have that on my bingo
same.
card, man. So shout out to you. But before we move to another one, I want to reference this real quick. These past couple years, I'll speak about me. I've gotten the inkling that Sacramento was maybe moving out of the front office ignorance or just foolishness that they're used to having. This gives me PTSD and feels like it's Sacramento regressing back to who they are as an organization at the front office. And on this show, we've been critical of New Orleans front office and the culture there. I think it's time for us to put this Sacramento, just tease it out there. I think it plays a role. Now, I will say this. They have been better the last couple of years as an organization since, they dropped the ball with DeMarcus. Then they were floundering for a couple seasons. So this to me is kind of rearing its head as an inept front office, maybe.
Oh, it's more than rearing his head, my boy. This has been one of the worst ran organizations over the past 20 years since
20 years.
Weber and them boys left. And
Well, they got swindled out that Lakers.
well,
You know how that goes. The refs, they were paid. But go
well,
ahead.
when you have so you have two different tiers of organizations. You have organizations that withstand ebbs and flows, right? And you have team organizations that can never get out of their own way. Stronger organizations would have managed DeMarcus Cousins' temperament in the for the sake of the tremendous talent that he was. Stronger organizations wouldn't have fired a Mike Malone, who was clearly an up and coming solid coach, right? Stronger organizations would have taken what was an incredible opportunity between the roster you had put together, the coach you had brought in, the culture you had put together with the light the beam stuff and all that, and turned it into long lasting success. And now we're here in a year and a half later looking at a structure that's on the verge of being broken down and started from scratch again. The Kings have been the Kings for 20 years, man. And this is why. Because when situations like this come up, the writing's already on the wall about how it's going to end up for them. So
Look,
hate to see.
Evan, I'm gonna correct you there. I'm gonna correct you on that statement. Just one portion. The Kings have been peasants for the last 20 years. They were all right.
The royal
It's
peasants. Okay.
it's really been disheartening. Like, how do you attract talent? And then it seemed when you pick up Fox, you have Monk, you have these guys that you can come in, then you find your way to with the Sabonis trade, right? But to bring some guys, but you draft well. Hallie over there, right? You have guys that you bring in talent. Like, so from a drafting perspective, whoever they have on their scouting, keep those guys. But in terms of whoever is
Development.
out here trying to make the making the machine work, whoever has the long term vision, fire them, because their vision has been terrible. But the people that's in terms of being able to find you those gems of pieces, bruh, that's not something that happens too often.
What do you guys expect from a front office,
Here we
nay,
go.
an owner, who
go.
said
Here
he
we
wanted
go.
his team to play a 4-man zone defense on defense and have one guy be a cherry picker on the offensive side and just play like that? Do you guys remember that when he said that?
I remember that,
Yeah, I
and
remember that, man.
I try to
that's
forget.
that's what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm gonna add to the list of what Lou said. This the same team that drafted Marvin Bagley over Luka Doncic. Let's not throw that off the list as well.
Yeah.
It's just ineptitude. It's ineptitude. It's a lack of basketball minds with a cohesive vision of building out a strong organization. And
So I bring. Oh, go ahead, Mom.
And they hired an interim coach. He used to get his ass whipped by Rick Fox and needed his wife to fight his battles for him.
listen,
saying.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Don't come for Doug. Don't do Doug like that, man. Don't do Doug like that.
Doug is a very strong man.
Okay.
A very strong man.
He made me forget my point. I guess I bring that up because I remembered it now, and then we're gonna pivot. I bring that up just because if we're honest, on paper, even if you take De'Aaron out, right? They don't have a lottery team per se. You feel me? But also, like Ev and Lou have pointed out, the pass rears his head, and you're like, they're gonna fumble this bag. They're gonna fumble this bag. They're gonna find a way to mess it up. That's what it is. It's like, and that's why I'm like, yo, please don't mess this up. Okay, De'Aaron's unhappy, et cetera, send them, ship them, get something great. You still have a solid Sabonis. You still have some pieces there that you can build around and you can make a solid team. Don't fumble this bag. But also, it's like they feel like they're about to fumble this bag, and it's.
Sabonis will be next, and
I'm about to say Sabonis.
they'll be back to square one.
Golly. Anywho, all right, y'all. Moving forward to these trade rumors, the block. Jimmy's been on this block. Jimmy really owns the block, honestly. It's his block first.
On the block.
It's his block.
It's his block. He moved in
his
first. Yeah, it's his block. It's Jimmy's block. That's what the name of this first segment should be. Jimmy's block, okay? Let's talk about Jimmy, man. So the Heat have
Jimmy
finally...
from the block.
Yes, Jimmy from the block. He has been suspended. There you go, Jimmy from the block. There it is. Pop Mama on point. If you're on YouTube, you know what we're talking about. If you're not, go check it out on YouTube.
Check it out.
Let's go.
Jimmy has been suspended indefinitely by the Miami Heat for continuous disrespect of team rules and values, etc., etc. Nail in the coffin, Jimmy's going to get traded, in other words. That's my interpretation of it. I don't see anything else. Per sources, i.e. Twitter, Jimmy walked out of a shoot around because he wasn't starting, which is wild to me, you guys, and I guess set me straight. Who do you think you are? Don't get me wrong.
Nah.
You're Himmy. You're Himmy. Don't get me wrong. You are Himmy. You're that guy. But sir, who do you think? Okay, let me put it in this terms. I'm in a relationship. I say, hey, babe, I want to break up. This ain't working out. I want to break up. And I get mad at you for talking to somebody else? I said we wanted to break up. That's not how that works. Like you can't keep me in the same position after I've requested for something different. Like, am I wrong? Like, y'all set me straight. Go ahead, Louis.
Nah,
you disagree.
It's the way. I don't disagree, but look, they baited him. Let's be real. We know they baited him into this. You already knew
Did
that
they?
They weren't seeing eye to eye. Yes, because look, it's the manner in which they did it.
Okay.
So you want to tell me in the huddle, coach comes to me and tells you, "Oh yeah, by the way, Highsmith is starting over you." I'm sorry.
Okay.
What?
So here's my thing.
In front of everybody on the team. Come on,
You're
why
not
is he
wrong,
starting
Lou.
over me?
Lou, you're not wrong. But
It's
are we
one
not
thing
gonna?
for you
Are
to
we
be
not,
saying that you,
Lou? We're not gonna hold Jimmy accountable for his antics.
fam. Yes, but now guess what? As an organization, do you stoop to his level,
Okay,
or
so now, so
do you
the
be
standards are
professional?
different. The standards are different.
Yes. Yes, they are, because
Okay.
you're the organization. You're the
Okay.
organization, right? So now, because then what happens? You're in a new era of basketball, right? I get it. Pat Riley's used to hard. Yo, this is what we do. You listen to what we talking about. And Spo is a direct, like copy. Not even good. I'm gonna say copy. A direct extension of him on the court. So you could have been told Jimmy, hey, you're not starting tonight. So you're gonna come to me in front of the team to let me know I'm not starting, and
I
that
think
this
that's
guy
fine.
started.
I think it's fine.
And
I
that's
think
why
it's
Jimmy
fine.
walked out. I don't think it's fine. I don't think it's fine, because there's a way to go about it. We're talking about professional courtesy there, and so. But what happens now is, as you're developing a relationship as an organization that, hey, I have leverage as a player. NBA players have leverage, especially when you're a superstar. So why would I want to go to South Beach? I don't want to go play over there.
He's losing his
I
leverage.
want to play with this. Who's losing the leverage?
Jimmy, and this is why he's losing his leverage.
Nah,
okay?
both teams are the Heat organizations also lose leverage too.
So follow me on this.
Both are looking real shaky doing this.
No, but the Heat are going to recover a lot sooner than Jimmy will. Here's what's happening, and this is why it's pissing me off, because Jimmy's acting dumb. Jimmy's acting dumb. He's too old for this, and he's not as good as he once was to be acting like this. Think about it. I'm going to name some players. Allen Iverson, Carmelo Anthony. You know what I'm saying? Cats that get bad reps, right? Because an organization did them dirty, right? And they acted out, you know what I'm saying, as they shouldn't. They had so much merit to do so. You get what I mean? But as we know, in this day and age, the organization is going to recover quicker and recoup quicker than that player is. You get what I'm saying? So my issue with this is, at the end of the day, Jimmy, you're not going to go anywhere or be sent anywhere where you're going to be that guy. You're an ancillary piece. So you would need to present yourself as a piece that's not going to cause issues. You did it in Minnesota. You know what I'm saying? Had issues in Philly. Now it's here.
Who recovered quicker?
There's a rep.
Did either of them teams recover quicker than Jimmy?
Yes. What are you talking about? They're going to recover.
Which one of them teams?
No.
Which one of them teams went to the finals? Which one of those teams went to the finals?
In 3 years, Jimmy's going to be gone.
Exactly.
You can't keep doing it.
Who recovered faster?
They're going to recover.
Did Philly recover faster? Did Philly recover faster? Did Minnesota recover faster?
Yes, Minnesota recovered. And where's Jimmy now? He didn't get Jimmy
was in the finals.
Right.
Jimmy was in the finals.
Okay. You got it. Where's Jimmy going to end up now? So what you're telling me is, here's my thing. If you're saying, hey, I'm going to act out so I can go to 2 finals back to back and be effed up for the rest, you win. That's what I'm saying. That's short-sightedness. What I'm telling you now is your rep matters. Your rep matters. No,
it wasn't short-sighted. Because what he did to Minnesota, he says, you guys can't do without me. And they didn't. They haven't still. He went to Philadelphia, you can't do it without me. And they still haven't. And guess what?
I would argue right now, as soon as Jimmy leaves Miami, wherever he goes, Minnesota, they've recovered after Jimmy. Like, Jimmy is, once again, still give him that Hemi. Jimmy is in a pinnacle right here. He's in the tip top of the balance right now. He keeps effing up and doing these antics. His stock is only going down. Jimmy's not your franchise player anymore. He's doing franchise player antics when he's not going to go anywhere. Unless he's going to the Wizards, unless he's going to Utah, unless he's going to Portland, unless he's going to any bottom tier teams, you can't pull these. Even Portland, he's not going to be franchise. You can't pull these antics, these diva franchise player moves. That's what I'm talking about. His stock is going down because of Jimmy.
But
And
you're
Jimmy may
looking
have
at
enough
just
money
Jimmy
in
from
his
Miami.
in his coffee
Yeah, but you're
shops
looking at
to be
Jim-
like, hey, you know what? I don't care.
Look. Let's be real.
Maybe
These
he
guys have
does.
made a crazy amount of bread. They're good, but look,
He's
Miami's
straight. That's why you
already
won't
had
pay
a
the child
bad
support.
reputation for franchise players. No, let's be real. Miami's already developed a reputation that they don't treat their franchise players well. D Wade, look what happened with D Wade.
You're not wrong,
Look what
Lou,
had to happen
but,
with D Wade.
but Lou, here's what I'm telling you. Go ahead.
I don't
Miami's.
understand. You can let me. As a matter of fact,
Okay,
let me ask you a
go ahead.
question. This will help me.
Go ahead.
No,
Go ahead.
it will help me understand. What do you mean by what does recovering faster look like?
Okay, Jimmy's fighting an institution. That's what I'm trying to get you to understand. Jimmy's fighting an institution. So these teams are institutions. You're doing these antics thinking you're gonna really hurt these institutions. You're playing with billionaires, okay? You're playing with billionaires, niggas that pay your salary, okay? So the ones that's giving you these hundreds of millions, they have the billions to do that. You're not gonna hurt them, Jimmy. It's an institution. So this Miami, like we're talking about, that's a shaky institution that you're talking about. Even with D Wade, what did they do? You said it yourself. They recovered, they get better. They have the billions to do that. And all I'm saying is if Jimmy was doing this back in his Chicago days and when he left Chicago, okay, do that. Because you have that leverage. That's what I'm saying. When you said that leverage, Jimmy doesn't have that leverage anymore. So it would behoove him to not tarnish his reputation or find a different way to act out. That's my only concern, is that this coming out, because you know how these institutions do, they will slander you and find a way to blackball you. You get what I'm saying? And I don't want that to happen because we've seen it happen, right? We've seen when players who we know are solid, right, that just want to go out there and ball and get slandered and blackballed by these institutions, right? And their careers don't end. Look what they were trying to do to Russell Westbrook, right? When he went to that Laker organization, look what they were trying to do to this man. You get what I'm saying? Like, look what they were trying to do to this man, and we know he's solid. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm saying Jimmy's gonna be Jimmy, right? And we're all entertained by him acting out. But what I'm scared about is Jimmy, bro. Don't crash out too much, bro. Because you know what I'm saying?
All I'm saying is,
don't crash out too much.
Jimmy has been consistent when he believes he deserves to be paid, and he's been that with every team. And the only teams that he really didn't leave on amicably with is Minnesota and who was soon to be Miami. The Philly situation was like, Philly, it didn't happen as bad. He like, you guys are soft.
Well, did they change front office since
No,
then?
it was free. No, it was free.
Did they change front
He was a
office?
free agent. He was a free agent.
Okay. They couldn't pay him.
He had a 1 year. He had a 1 year deal.
But they didn't want to pay him the money, right? That's what I'm saying, right? They didn't want to pay him the money. He was free, but they didn't want to pay.
They were focusing on Ben Simmons over him.
Yeah.
And Tobias. Tobias,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, they chose Tobias over Jimmy. I'll throw in one wrinkle, one little conspiracy theory that I've been wrestling with related to this. I don't think Jimmy's acting up. I don't think him and the Heat are at the level of odds that the media is saying.
As in Amate, it's not that. Okay, I can see that.
I think Jimmy made it clear he wasn't coming back. The Heat made it clear they don't want him back. But we can't suspend you without reason. We can't send you away without reason. And so this is why, when it's the night Jimmy's supposed to come back, he missed the flight. When it's the day Jimmy's supposed to come back and we got a week to the trade deadline, he walked out of practice. I think they just had to get to the finish line, keep him healthy, get him traded.
So you think this is a reality TV scripted act? That's what you're saying.
Absolutely.
This is Real Housewife of Miami.
The problem is that the trade package for Jimmy is complicated. Not that Jimmy's acting up, and the GMs that are calling to find out, they're getting the real story.
Jimmy to the Grizzlies, man. Go ahead and make it happen. All right, y'all.
If he stop acting up, if he think about it, it could happen.
I'm just saying, man. You see, I'm telling you, he already has that acting up in him. All right, y'all. Pop Mamba, go ahead.
He doesn't need to stop acting up if he goes to Memphis. He can act up even more because that's what.
I knew you.
Listen, the Memphis I saw last night, they need Jimmy Butler.
Oh, here he goes. Here he goes with his thing.
That trick.
All right. Y'all, we literally have 10 seconds. 10 seconds. 10 seconds. I'm going to give you 5 seconds each. Evan, where should Brandon Ingram go? Go ahead. 5 seconds. Where does he need to go?
I like that the Raptors are rumored. They need anything, and he'd be something.
All right, Lou. 5 seconds. How do you feel about your Bulls saying, or people from reporting that the Bulls saying it's a fire sale?
If it's true, we're pulling an OKC.
Oh, draft picks. Got it. All right. Moving on. I like it. All right. We have a couple segments called. Yeah, I'm done.
Oh, sorry.
We have a couple segments called What If. We'll start with the Eastern Conference. What if? All right. So, what if the Cavs don't win the East? Who do you guys think will win it? So, who's essentially, if not the Cavs, who's the best team in the East? I'll start with you, Lou.
The reigning NBA champions.
Okay. So the Boston Celtics, who have looked shaky and lost a couple games here and there, that's who you're going with. Man,
it's tough to bet against the champion, you know.
Okay.
When you get later into the season, remember last season Cavs showed some life. Looked like he might be able to do something. Now, is this team much different identity, stronger than last year? Yeah, I agree. But at the end of the day, you can bet on experience. You can bet on experience, and you can bet on a solid makeup of a team. And when the Boston Celtics are clicking on all cylinders, they're firing on all cylinders, that gap between them and the next team is so much wider. So, unfortunately, they live and die by the three. But when they on,
yeah, and Porzingis is getting more runs too, so they have their ups and downs. I'll give you that. I'm gonna throw my hat in the ring right now on this segment real quick, and it may.
We're not talking about Western Conference.
I know. Not yet.
I thought you were gonna be like Blazers.
No, Blazers number one, baby. Number one, son. But no, I actually was thinking about this at work. I, interestingly enough, was thinking about it just because we were talking about the Cavs in the chat and them losing, but then they won the last game, et cetera. And I was like, okay, so they're not the best team. Like, who's really the best team in the East, right? If we're not sold on the Cavs, like, who's the best team? And I say this begrudgingly, man. I say this begrudgingly. And I hear this guy smiling at me right now. But, yo, if Cavs aren't number two, like, the Knicks.
I already saw that coming.
I'm just saying, by default, we'll put that caveat in there because I can't just give it to him straight like that. You know, you gotta give a backhanded compliment. By default,
man was
because Philly's struggling and Milwaukee's still getting it together. I guess we'll give it to but seriously, real talk. I'll give credit where credit is due. The Knicks are balling this year. They've looked to be a solid team all year round. And that, to me, is what's been very impressive, is that they've been consistent and dominant all year round. They haven't shown the shakiness that they've had about a couple seasons ago, especially because they were dealing with injuries too as well, right? They're not as banged up this year as they've been in the past, and it proves in the pudding, man. They're showing they're consistently in the top of the standings, and they don't have what the Cavs went through, Boston, and one other team in the West, like those long game losing streaks where you're like, the world is falling. You get what I mean? They recover quickly. So to me, that's not only a sign of a good team, but a mature team as well too. So I'll give you credit where credit is due, Av. These Knicks are looking dangerous.
And they got beat up. They got beat up last year. They got a chip on their shoulder. Draymond told them they will never have another run again.
Oh,
I'm sure
I forgot about that. I forgot about that. Yeah,
everybody thought it was a fluke run, so they're here to prove that it wasn't a fluke. And that's man. I'm not surprised at that pick at all.
And then also, last thing, and then we can get over this Knick fandom stuff.
I was about to say, we can't
last thing,
talk.
Yeah, because we're sick. Yeah, we're sick. Yeah, we got to move on. But last thing, a perfect example of an organization's front office turning it around. Perfect example. Because they were floundering, you know what I'm saying, making questionable moves. The owner had other things on his mind. Good example of a front office turning it around, making basketball picks, focusing on the future, having a plan, sticking with it. So shout out to the Knicks, man. Shout out to the Knicks. All right, moving on. Woo, Jesus Lord, that was
Golly.
tough.
I thoroughly enjoyed these last couple minutes.
You know what I mean? Before somebody starts speaking sacrilege of catcher cueings.
Yeah. Let's not even throw that out there. Ev, I'm going to throw it to you from Milwaukee. So, that's right. What trade? I took your Knicks segment on purpose. What trade? I was sick of it. What trade do the Milwaukee Bucks need to do to get a leg up? Breaking news: the Knicks front office is still under surveillance per sources.
Look, I'm gonna quickly jump in on that note. Is the Knicks figured out they needed to do what the Cowboys need to do. The son said, "Hey, Dad, I got you."
I got you. Go ahead, Evan, on the Milwaukee Bucks, please. Thanks.
I'll give you 3 things that the Milwaukee Bucks need to do.
So we're getting 5. Got it.
No, you're getting 3. You're getting 3. Exactly 3 things. As far as what the Milwaukee Bucks need to do, the first thing they need to do is to find a trade that they can win as definitively as the Knicks have won.
You knew it was going to be a Knicks adjacent. I knew it was going to be Knicks adjacent.
All right. When you can trade 2 questionable or 2 pieces that have peaked and past their peak, maybe like a Chris Middleton, right? And trade him for a player who is undeniably better than the trade that you're moving out. Like when the Knicks brought in Karl Anthony Towns, right? The best offensive center in the league. The best offensive center in the league. The Bucks should look to make a trade like that. Number 2, okay? If they have
this is all going to be Knicks adjacent, by the way.
Available. If they have draft picks available, they should consider cashing in all of their draft picks, which are going to be low draft picks anyway, right? For a player that fits like a glove into what they're trying to accomplish, much like the Knicks did when they traded for Mikal Bridges this summer. After a slow start, Mikal Bridges...
Be ready for a Dame shot, too.
Oh, no. Dame's free here. Okay. Tonight's Dame's homecoming to Portland. We won't do anything.
He got ruined last year, his homecoming. We took care of that last year. We're over that. We won.
So
all right, go
utilize your picks to bring in a player that's going to fit, just feeling like a glove into what you need, both offensive and defensively. Much the exact opposite of what they did when they traded away Drew Holiday. Third thing. And this isn't on the court, all right? The Boston Celtics, when they won their NBA championship, they had a head coach in Doc Rivers, who may have been at his peak at that point. I don't think he's been better than then. They had an assistant coach by the name of Tom Thibodeau, who was just getting started. Tom Thibodeau has been known for his defensive acumen since he was an assistant coach. But the way he has overseen maybe the most transcendent offense in this league, the cohesiveness of the Knicks offense.
All right.
Number 2,
mute this guy's mic.
An offensive rating.
Jesus. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your Bucks take. We really appreciate it. It was great.
I'm almost done. You don't have to mute me, okay? If the Bucks want, in closing, if the Bucks want to compete for a championship this year, they need to be more like the Knicks. That's all I've got. Thank you for asking me.
Lord, that was horrible. Bye, mama. Edit that whole out the podcast. All right. So moving on. What you're saying
if you're coming
is,
to the YouTube, all you're gonna see is a big black square
yes,
for a good 5 minutes.
edit that out. So what you're saying is the Bucks need to trade Middleton for Brandon Ingram or somebody else. Got it. Okay.
They definitely need
Cool.
to trade him for somebody. I think, okay, Middleton is the issue right now at this point. He's come back. He's looked okay since he's gotten back.
It's 2 ankle injuries. You need a year. You need a year.
No, it's done. It's not coming back.
Could be done. Okay.
It's not coming back. Trade high now.
I don't blame you. All right, y'all. Let's move on to the West Side. Lou, same question for you. The Thunder, number 1 right now. But what if the Thunder don't end up being number 1? So who's the best team in the
De'Aaron
West?
Fox gets traded to the Denver Nuggets. Nah, but
go ahead.
Nah, but jokes aside, no, I think Denver. Quietly,
Denver, really?
I think again, sleeping giant that has the pedigree, has the experience that nobody is really talking about, and it's good for them because that general expectation that they used to have, right? Of you guys have to be the best. You guys have the best, player in the world right now. Going to be another MVP. Sitting at number 4, they're 7-3 in their last 10, and you have 2 guys that can ring off a triple-double at any time. Russell Westbrook is looking, not going to say in OKC form, but looking much better in terms of as a fit since he's bounced around to other teams. I think Denver is a sleeping giant that people are still not considering because OKC, clear number 1, has been balling. We see how Houston, a young team that is completely turned around. I know, Hans, you were talking about a front office that completely has turned things around. But Houston is a prime example of that, as we see from last year to this year. Amazing, right? In bringing in the right coach and the right guys and the right pieces. And then the surge of the Lakers, that's going to take a bunch of headlines, as they always do, for no reason, because they'll inevitably be nothing than a play-in team, rather, in the second round, if they get that far. So, you know what I mean? It's right now, I think Denver is in the perfect position that they keep balling the way that they balling, because I don't think Dallas has it. Even though on paper they look great, their pieces still aren't all the way there what they need. They don't have the proper depth. And I think Denver has all of those pieces that are necessary. That we still, what did it say? I got one more in me. So I think they're perfectly primed. Jokic is still playing at an MVP caliber. That hasn't changed. All he needs is his guys to step up. And Denver's a scary team to play.
So you go with experience. I get it. Somebody who's been there before. Facts. Mm-hmm. What's your take on it, Ev? If not the Thunder, who?
I really, really, really wanted to go with the Lakers in answering this. I'll be honest with you. A team that, as much as
somebody check this man's temperature, yo.
Well, no. A team that,
as a matter of fact, check his Cash App. See if Christian sent him something. Yo.
No. So here's why. Go for it, sir. Go for it, Pop Mamba. Now, mind you, I'm not going with the Lakers, but
I know, I love it.
I don't think he's coming in. Go ahead, Ev.
I wanted to because they've held on to this 5th spot for a while, and my concern is the youth of teams right at the top, particularly your OKC and your Houstons. I'm concerned with their ability to pull it out in the playoffs. Lakers have the veteran aspect of it where I could see it, but I'm not gonna go with them.
Keep cooking, Evan. Go ahead. I didn't come in. I didn't come in earlier because I had to fix my audio. But keep cooking, bro.
Well, if
Don't let Lou distract you.
If Vando is actually healthy
You
and
saw the
stays
light.
healthy,
You saw him play. You saw the light, didn't you?
and Finney Smith off the bench gives just a little bit more of that bench, connecting Christie. But you know what? This is me saying I could see it, but that's not who I'm going with. I'm going to go with the Memphis Grizzlies, despite the
Dirty
fact
motherfucker.
that
You
we
fucking got me. You got me.
absolutely.
You had me on a heartstring and you just ripped it away.
But
You
here's why.
ripped it away.
Here's why. The Grizzlies are at the intersection of why I would pick the Lakers from the veterans standpoint and why I like the other young teams like Houston and OKC.
Yeah.
Memphis
Yep.
is what OKC is now Memphis was 2 years ago. And they've been hungry to get back. And what has been one of their biggest issues for me, the consistency of Jaren Jackson. He's having the best season of his career. Both shooting the ball, scoring overall, and consistency in health. Honestly, the only thing that worries me about Memphis right now is what they're getting from Ja.
Let me push back on this for a second. You're
Go for it.
saying OKC now is what Memphis was 2 years ago when they were leading the Western Conference.
That
Are we
young
sh-
team, that young team that has both the cohesiveness, the
You don't think OKC has a
attitude.
better team than that Memphis team back then? You don't?
It's not even
I think-
that, Hans. OKC is younger than Memphis, so what the fuck is Evan been talking about? Memphis is the older team. What do you mean that they're a young OKC team?
When
No, yeah,
Memphis,
no,
Memphis
no.
2-3 years
Memphis
ago,
2 years ago,
when
is
they
the
were
young team that
young
OKC
and
is
had
now.
schedule. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm asking. Don't you
No,
think?
no,
if we
hold on,
compare-
time out.
Go
Time
ahead.
out.
Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Don't just come for me just because I didn't stick with your Lakers pick. Man.
I was salty about that,
How many
man.
times are you gonna see Ja?
His feelings
how many
hurt.
times are you gonna see? How many times are you gonna see Ja jump from the free throw line, hurt himself? Then they have to use they have to rely on
You want me to flip my
Bane.
pick?
They have
You
to
want me to
rely
flip my
on
pick?
JJ, and they don't go anywhere. How many times are you gonna see the same old story?
The exact, see now you want me to insult your Lakers, and I'm not gonna do that because I started
Don't
off
take the
with
bait.
It's cool because I
Don't
already
take
did
the
it.
bait. Right?
I already
You
did
see
Don't
it.
take the bait.
Can you
I
I
already
do have a
did it.
question for you though.
Nah.
We need the ratings.
Ja, Ja or Shea? Who you taking?
I mean, listen, Shea's the second best league right now, but
Come
with
on now.
that said, Shea Gilgeous Alexander in dunking on Wemby's head though. Okay, so I'm taking Ja Morant.
Here we go with that phantom
He
dunk.
didn't count. The whistle blew.
Phantom
Okay.
dunk. Here we
Okay.
go with the phantom
Phantom
dunks.
dunk. Wemby didn't jump like it was a phantom dunk.
He didn't jump like he was trying to contest it for real either. But
He
anyhow.
don't like he don't like nobody came at him like that before. But he better call 12 next time. That's how he jumped. Okay,
Cold 12.
that's how he jumped.
Here he goes. He wasn't talking like that when they were getting beat up by the Knicks. Here he
Well,
goes
listen, I was
again.
talking about the other way when he was getting beat up by the Knicks. All right, 212, 718, something. Okay. Anywho, but
I'm so done. All right, thank you, Ev. I appreciate
So
your
good,
take
guy,
on
bro.
the Western Conference on that.
You're welcome,
thanks for sharing.
anytime.
Thanks for sharing that. Pop Mama edited
Realistically,
that
we all
out
know
too.
the right answer is the Portland Trailblazers.
Thank you. That's what I was gonna say. It's the Portland Trailblazers. No, it's the LA Clippers, man. Kawhi's back. I'm back on the Kawhi train. Now I'm lying. It's not that.
And this is when we're going to bring in the big black screen for Hans.
before we go, I'm a take
Go
us
ahead.
off for a second. And this question isn't even fully fleshed out. It may make for terrible podcasting. I apologize, but we've gotten into this positionless basketball the last few years, right? I feel like we're losing the point guard position, and it's taking its toll on the teams that don't have one. There's a lot of great point guards, but when you really think about it, there's not as many as you assume there are. think about the number of bad teams right now that could either really use a point guard
And
or
can you
hoping
give our listeners an example of a team that has a point guard?
a team that has a point
Oh.
guard.
Yeah.
You mean
I'll
outside of
use
the New
exactly
York Knicks and Jalen Brunson, the captain? Okay.
You mean the San Antonio
Darius
Spurs?
Garland.
Gosh, man, what's wrong with you, bro?
Darius Garland.
Oh,
Hold
brother,
on.
this guy stinks.
Listen, if you throw the lob and I dunk it, don't get mad at me because I dunked it. You said give me an example of a team with a point guard. What do you think I was going to say?
Go ahead.
Now
Adam.
listen. All right, so you look at the top of the league, right? Darius Garland with Cleveland. Shea Gilly, I mean, he's more of two, but he's transcendent enough that as a league guard, he's carrying. I'll give him that. Boston doesn't really have a point guard, right? Knicks we went through. Milwaukee has Dame. You got Halliburton. Miami doesn't really have a point guard. Orlando, Jalen Suggs is kind of a tweener.
Suggs, I think, would be their point guard. You think he's a tweener?
I think. I mean, he's kind of.
He low key is. He low key is because he really is a scorer. He really is a score first guy. But
okay, so if we're saying that about Suggs, but we're not saying that about Brunson.
Oh no, Brunson's a point guard.
Okay, flesh me out the difference between Suggs and
primary ball handling responsibility.
Okay.
Primary ball handling responsibility.
Yeah. I'm gonna say because Suggs on another team,
that both generates the offense and gets you points.
Okay.
If you can't bring the ball up by yourself every single time and get it up and break it down individually and get across that line within 8 seconds, I don't consider you a point guard. That's one thing I put on the list.
Okay.
Cade, point guard. Trey, point guard. Kobe White, point guard. Maxey, give him point guard. Toronto doesn't have one. Brooklyn doesn't have one. No, I'm not counting Ben Simmons. Lonzo, yes. Washington, no.
Not even D'Lo.
Here he goes.
Are you gonna fucking disrespect my man D'Lo like that? How dare you? How dare you? He's the best. He's the best point guard in New York City.
Oh wow!
I mean, definitely the best in Brooklyn. When the Knicks aren't playing there, yes, I'll give you that. Listen, he might have the best plus minus of any guard in the league right now. Who knows, right? But my point is, if you go down the list, a lot of teams,
Cade Cunningham point guard. What are we talking about, man? Cade Cunningham is not a point guard.
I wouldn't fight you there. It's kind of in that Luka mode. In ball handler, but he's as much of a point forward as he is a point guard.
Don't make us get into this. Don't start. Don't start this.
Listen, all I'm saying is Tatum's both a guard and a forward. If we're gonna do this, let's do it right. Let's go to the inception of this. Listen, I'll fight. I'll die on that hill. If the NBA puts him there.
It just makes me think about it. So when you think about Portland, right? And this is kind of when I got to it when thinking about Portland. Scoot had a couple of good games this month, looking better. What they drafted him to be was Dame's replacement, and a large reason that Portland is where it's at is because Scoot hasn't been Scoot. Scoot hasn't been. Guard. He should be a point guard.
But he's not your point guard in the sense of when you think about initiating the offense, that's not his strong suit. He's you know what he is?
Your boy Shaden, ain't it?
No, Shaden's a playmaker. He's a playmaker.
But he's too small to play the threes.
Yeah, he's a playmaker. He's a scorer. Scoot is a downhill, okay? He's a downhill player. He's your poor man's version of all those downhill players, John Wall, you know what I'm saying? Like those guys that like to play downhill. Like, so when you think of a point guard, like everybody Evan was listing, I was thinking about initiating the offense, right? And getting that going, which to his credit, Brunson does. You get what I'm saying? To his credit, even though Lou doesn't like him, Trae Young does. You get what I'm saying? Like, Scoot doesn't do that.
For
Like
sure.
he'll give you those games, but that's because those games, if you look at his minutes, he played a lot more minutes. Certain players were injured that gave him that minutes, and it freed up the court so he can run downhill, which is that's what he does. He's not a great shooter. He's not that great defending as well too. Like we don't have a point guard because Anthony's not a point guard. He just wants to score. Shaden's just a score, et cetera, et cetera. But I see what you're saying, though. I mean, huh? What were you saying, Lou?
No, because I was about to say when you because I was like, I know Anthony is definitely not they.
No. Yeah, we just trade them all. Trade them all.
My question is this, right? Or rather, to your question about the value that the point guard position is going to have, I think it's the same what we're seeing now with the big man position. The teams that are really able to be successful are the ones that they don't just have a dynamic big, right? Example, with Chet being the player he was, everybody's like, oh, this is a dynamic big, but he was not a true center that we think about in the sense of who can bang, especially when we get to a half-court game, right? And this is why somebody like AD, who should really be elite at all times because he is still a true center. Now, what he can do in terms of, spacing out, yeah, but he still at the end of the day can do true center things in the post.
They're playing you off, Lou. They're playing you off. They're playing you off. So here's what I'll say to this. There are a couple teams, Ev, that I think there are a couple teams that I think have ruined that, who don't have a traditional point guard or point guard like player and have won and have kind of made it. Say it again.
Any team that LeBron was on?
That, and also these recent Celtics. They didn't have you know what I'm saying? Your traditional point guard to come and run the plays. So I think that has ruined it as well. So when these teams win, and one can argue, even though we say Draymond was the point guard during the Steph Curry, when they Warriors had their heyday, but they didn't have a traditional point guard.
I would still argue that Steph was their point guard.
Yeah.
By what? So I guess here's my thing. When you're saying Steph's their point guard, are you saying that Steph's their point guard by definition of the position and how it's played, or by him just being slotted into that position?
Go
By
ahead,
the definition of the size. He's the size of a point guard, but he's not a point guard.
That's what I'm saying. How are you a point guard and the ball's not in your hand like this? Like, you're running off of curl screens and like...
It still starts with Steph. So yes, in their offense, his movement is part of the initiation of the offense, but Steph still gets it up. Pause. Gets the ball moving, right?
Good for him. What's wrong with you?
He's married, so I mean, shout out to him.
I'm good. Steph still controls the offense.
It's not his business,
right?
How is Steph gonna average less assists than Draymond Green? How are you gonna say he's the point guard?
But you argue this like Draymond averages 4 assists a game or 3 assists a game. When Draymond averages 6 assists a game and their offense is set up like that with unselfishness, that's the nature of the offense that they're in. My argument is just, even if you don't want to call Steph a point guard, that's not what I'm arguing right now. My argument is that the point guard skill, right? Yes, it's evolved into there's a lot of scoring type of guards. Like the position you have to score now more than before. But there was the organizational skill set, an offensive control skill set that was there that is lost now.
No, I get that. The playmaking skill set is gone. I get that. It's more of an intangible than what it is right now. Yeah. I definitely understand that. I get that. All right, guys. Thank you so much. This is our time. We appreciate you for joining us. As always, thank you for continuing to make us the #1 basketball podcast in the universe. Check us out on our socials and YouTube. We appreciate it. See you guys next week.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the episode, give us a thumbs up. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button and the notification button so you can keep up with us every week. Be sure to follow us on all our socials at the 3on3 Podcast. Hey, got a question, topic you want us to talk about? Hit us up on our email at 3on3podcast@gmail.com. We appreciate y'all. Tune in next week.